Welcome and thank you for choosing True Grit, the show about what it really takes to rise, rebuild, and stay the course when life hits hard. I'm Kalish, a coach, storyteller, and believer in the kind of strength you can't fake. Around here, we talk about real people, real stories, and the lessons that shape us, from resilience and mindset to health and healing, because grit isn't about grinding harder, it's about who you become when you don't quit. Let's get into it. Welcome back to my first episode after taking about a 2-month hiatus from podcasting. And I have decided to do it while I am on vacation in Hawaii. See, my husband travels for work a lot, and this trip happened to overlap our 16-year anniversary. My birthday is also close to this date. So I came out and joined him while he's out here working and just making the most out of the time that we do get to spend together. But it made me think about how we end up falling off of our fitness and wellness journeys when we do go on vacation, holiday, whatever you want to call it. And a couple things come up for me. So I wanted to discuss it. Let's call out the problem. And then also figure out how we get back on track and how we make that easier for you to get back on track. So I think that it's going to be very valuable information for you. So take some notes. A couple reasons why I think that we fall off track whenever we go on holiday. Obviously, our normal routines get disrupted. So that's one thing. The other thing is I think a lot of people try to go into a trip with the best of intentions and then find that they weren't really realistic to begin with. Like, oh, I'm going to eat super healthy and I'm going to make it to the gym every day because, my hotel has a gym on site. And then it just doesn't happen. So you kind of let yourself down. Or maybe you didn't go in with any kind of plan anyway, which is perfectly fine. I'll get into that as well. But maybe you don't feel as great when you get home. And now you kind of got this excuse of like, well, I've already fallen off track. Might as well just keep going. And then there's no real plan to get yourself back on track. Let's start with the trip itself. When you're on your vacation, maybe you came into it with some sort of plan to take care of yourself and, you realize that it just wasn't realistic because the thing is, you are going on vacation, you're going on holiday. That is the whole point of it. If you're thinking that you need to stay on track during your vacation, you're missing the entire point of going on vacation. This is about just being able to unwind and enjoy a different atmosphere for a little while and maybe not necessarily have to be adhering to any kind of real routine. So I want you to give yourself permission to go and enjoy your trip. This trip, yes, there is a gym here at the hotel. It's got a lovely view, a ton of cardio equipment, and you know how I feel about cardio. Great for cardiovascular health. It is not my big staple though. In my normal fitness routine, I like to lift heavy weights. And so there's just basically a collection of dumbbells. There's one cable machine. And so, it's not like I'm getting in there and doing the best workout of my life to begin with. And that is okay. I'm going to be repeating that. A lot of this stuff is all right. It's fine. You don't need to be sweating it. I'm getting maybe 3 days worth of workout. So if this sounds familiar at all, I think a lot of times people want to try to stick to their 5 or 6 day a week regimen. And again, maybe that was your original intention and that's just not how it worked out, but you got to give yourself that space and grace, as I like to say. So for me, if I was only going to be here for a few days, I wouldn't even bother, but we're here for a week and a half, a nice long trip. So just something to kind of keep me going. I went in today, the first day in a few days, I went back to the gym and did what I could in that hour time, did a full body. And it was really just so I could put the extra calories to work. When everybody wants to burn off the calories, I want to put my calories to work and actually continue building the body that I dream of. And I will probably get one more day in before the end of this trip. But again, if I couldn't, this is just me. This is just what I want to do. This is not a requirement for everybody. And I'm not going to beat myself up for not getting into the gym more often while I'm on this trip because this trip isn't the make or break. What you do after the trip is what is the make or break, is what is the make. Yeah, okay, we'll go with that. So let's talk about when you get home from the trip. Maybe you did put on a few extra pounds. Maybe we also need to think about how your body is usually stressed during travel because your routine's all messed up. Maybe you're flying, long car rides, whatever it is, your body tends to retain more water during that time. So a lot of it's going to be water weight anyway. So stop freaking out. And if you did manage to put on an extra couple pounds during the trip, and that is the beauty of having built muscle or being on your muscle building journey, because that will burn off so much quicker than it will have in the past. But hey, maybe you are just getting started on your quest. Then I'm going to applaud you for making strength training one of your primary objectives, one of your primary means of getting fit, because you are able to burn off more fat when you have more muscle on your body, including when you have these off times and you fluctuate a little bit. So now the trick is, and this starts before you even leave on your vacation, you need to have a realistic plan of getting back into things when you get back. And I mean realistic, not, okay, once I get back, like we're getting back on Sunday. I'm not sitting there going, on Monday, everything's going to be perfect. Do you really think everything's going to be perfect when I still need to unpack? I still need to get groceries. There's a little bit of a time delay. So maybe it's 2 days after you get back from your vacation. That's the realistic point. And do not put it off to the following week. Everybody wants to start over on Monday. So if you get home on Thursday, then maybe it's Saturday. You're back on your normal routine for eating right, and maybe even getting back into the gym. I know not everybody likes to go on the weekends, but I do. It's just something that I can knock out in the morning. I've already had my coffee. I've had a nice slow morning. I go to the gym for an hour. I come back and then I have the whole rest of the day. It's something that works for me, but everybody's different. And so it does have to work for you. I'm always going to be stating that it has to work for you. But again, you look at the realistic time frame. So yeah, maybe Thursday, you get back on a Thursday and you're like, there's no way I'm going to the gym on the weekend. I never do that. Cool. Then I guess in that case, yes, Monday is when you're going to be starting over. But make that a hard set date in your calendar, because I'm telling you, inertia is a bitch. It is what is going to derail you to where all of a sudden you find that it's 2 months later and you haven't been back in the gym and you've been eating whatever the fuck you want. Let's nip that in the bud beforehand and acknowledge the fact that inertia does happen. You are most likely not going to feel like getting back into the gym because you have been out of your routine. And this is where I like to go back to my why. Why is this important? For me, being fit builds my authority around being a personal trainer. It's important that I end up being a very successful personal trainer because of the impact that I can have on other people, because I don't want people to be suffering as they get older, or at least we can minimize the impact of aging so we can have a more drawn out, health-filled life. Now, here's another thing that I was thinking of, because, honestly, it does tend to take longer than we think to get the dream body that we've been eyeing down. And it's all different for everybody. I've known of some people who are starting off like, over 400 pounds, having to take many, many, many years to get to their dream body. But just knowing that you're in it to win it, you're just in it for the long haul. And then others might not have as long of a journey, but it still takes longer than what most people think. They think that, in a few months, this is going to work. I'm going to be the best shape of my life. When in reality, even for people who are starting off, with relatively low body fat and maybe a little bit more muscle mass, that still might be a couple years. Anyway, aside from that, something that was coming up for me is that I have definitely been on my journey. I'm still building out the body that I really want. And it is this weird, not weird, but tricky that I'm having to do, where I want to build muscle. I want to maximize muscle building, but then I also want fat loss. I need the calories to go and build the muscle, but I need to restrict some calories so I can go through my fat loss phase as well. So there's been some trade-offs here and there. And for the most part, I have been focused mostly on building that muscle. I did start a bit of a cut a few months back. I have to admit, I haven't always been super strict with it. I have also just gotten on hormone replacement therapy. I'm in perimenopause and I've been white knuckling it for a while. So I just got on estradiol and progesterone. So more to come on that to maybe help with multiple things, including the stubborn belly fat that I can't seem to lose unless I am following my calories to it. So not saying that it's impossible. It does just bring about a more difficult challenge with it. All that to say, showed up here in Hawaii, really, really excited to be like, bikini body ready and all that. And I'm still dealing with some of the belly fat that I'm going to be honest, I'm just not happy with. However, still went out there in the bikini, burned myself the first day. So we've actually been hiding from the sun after all of this, but still, just kind of hang out in the shade. But it is at these moments though, where it's like, I've been working so hard and I could just get really discouraged and just say, nothing's working and just give up on it. And I think that's what happens a lot of times too, is that we put a lot of pressure on ourselves to reach a specific goal. Maybe when we get to that deadline, we find that we're not really quite where we want to be. And so that can be very discouraging. And it is a little discouraging. I'm not going to lie about that. But I know that I am still just got to keep on doing this. And each summer it's going to get better. Way better this year than I was last year. And I know that by next summer, I am going to be that much further along by that point. So I think that's the thing that once we reach the summer or the vacation or whatever it is, and either we've gotten the results that we were hoping for or we're not quite there yet, then we just kind of give up on it and then we start all over again. So this is the big part of catching it before we start to break the promises to ourselves. So that is what I have for you this time as the return episode. Aloha from Hawaii. And I hope to hear from you. Please subscribe, share this, share the love. Let me know what you think of the episode. I really appreciate you spending that time with me. All right. Take care.